Hello and welcome to sdpn's 2023-2024 NBA season previews. Today we're going to preview one of the most active teams in all of the offseason, the Phoenix Suns. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and now Bradley Beal alongside a mishmash roster of veterans that are trying to win a championship this season. The pressure is on for them to win and win now. Can they do it with this group? Let's dive in deep. But first, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more NBA content. The season is almost here, and we have tons of great NBA videos coming your way to get you prepped for what should be an awesome season. If I'm being totally honest, it never felt like last season was going to be the Suns' year. Even after trading for Kevin Durant, the former MVP went down with an injury that forced him to miss 10 games, and there just wasn't enough time for them to develop any sort of cohesion heading into the 2023 playoffs. Still, they put up a good fight against the Nuggets in round 2, pushing them to 6 games, with Booker lighting up the Nuggets in dominant, historic performances in games 3 and 4. But the rest of the supporting cast left a lot to be desired. With pressure and attention all on Booker and Durant, the Suns role players couldn't knock down shots at a consistent rate and weren't able to create for themselves enough for Phoenix to have any real chance of beating Denver. Their big man, DeAndre Ayton, looked like a shell of himself throughout the playoffs, and it was clear that his relationship with head coach Monty Williams had been strained to the point of no return. So even despite making a monumental trade at the deadline, one that catapulted them into championship contention, the Suns needed to shake things up in a major way this summer, despite having limited cap flexibility and pick flexibility to do so. And somehow, someway, they did it. On the coaching front, they let go of Williams, who is off to Detroit now, coaching an upstart Pistons team, and in his place brought in Frank Vogel, most recently the Lakers coach that led them to the championship in the NBA's Disney World bubble in 2020. Vogel is a defensive-minded head coach who is known for spending time working and empowering his big men, so I think the hire was made with the idea of helping Ayton, the former #1 overall pick, realize his full potential. Ayton was phenomenal for the Suns defensively in their 2021 finals run, but just hasn't been able to get back to that level on that end, and maybe Vogel can help bring it out of him schematically. On top of that, Vogel has tons of experience working and dealing with the personalities of stars. He did so in Los Angeles with LeBron and Anthony Davis, and before that in Indiana with Paul George. And the Suns will need someone who can steer the ship and keep the stars happy, because Phoenix made a trade that made things even more intriguing for themselves this summer. Yes, I am talking about the seismic move they made to trade Chris Paul and a bunch of second-round picks, a few first-round pick swaps, and Landry Shamet in exchange for Bradley Beal. Beal, Booker, Durant. The Suns may have the best 3-man wing rotation in the entire NBA. So much offensive firepower, so much versatility, and the big question now will be how it all works. While Beal had 2 down seasons with the Wizards after his All-NBA year in 2021, the 30-year-old guard can still bring a bunch to this team. As a creator, as a dribble handoff hub with Ayton, and as a guy who can alleviate some pressure as a scorer off of Durant and Booker. Now, it's going to be much harder for defenses to hone in on Booker and Durant, because waiting on the other side is a top 30, 40 level player in Beal. Reports are suggesting that Beal will be the point guard in place of Paul, and while I think point guard is a pretty outdated term in this situation, the idea is that Beal will be their lead ball handler. He's going to do fine in that role, and I ultimately think his playmaking has become a little underrated in his time in Washington. Besides, both Booker and Durant are good facilitators for their positions, especially Booker, who has taken monumental strides in that department over the last few seasons beside Chris Paul. There is no question that the Suns are going to be one hard team to stop on offense. The only concern I'd have for the trio, and for the Suns as a whole, is rim pressure. Durant and Booker both take less than 20% of their shots at the rim. Beal can potentially help in that department, taking 31% of his shots at the basket over the last few seasons, but it's still not a lot. That's why they need Ayton to be at his best and most aggressive in the interior. Additionally, I mentioned at the top of the video that the Suns were extremely busy in the offseason, and it wasn't just the coaching hire and the Beal trade. They were active in free agency. They let Bismack Biyombo, Torrey Craig, Jock Landale, Terrence Ross, and TJ Warren walk, and in their place, completely revamped their entire bench. Income wings like Jordan Goodwin, Yuta Watanabe, Eric Gordon, Keita Bates-Diop, and big men like Drew Eubanks, Bol Bol, and Chimezie Metu. They also spent some dough to re-sign Damian Lee, Saban Lee, and Josh Okogie. Through that mishmash of players they've added, the Suns addressed a few different needs. Defense on the wings, creation, extra ball handling, and size. They did a tremendous job of acquiring all of these with limited cap space, and it was really good work by the front office to create a roster that just genuinely makes sense. That being said, the player I'm most intrigued by is whoever is going to be their 5th starter, and maybe that's why it's so fascinating, because there are so many options. Okogie was the nominal starter last year and in the playoffs, but he's limited offensively despite being a good defender. If he can thrive in a PJ Tucker-esque role, maybe that's his spot to lose. Utah seems like the most logical fit, a guy who's played alongside Durant before in Brooklyn, who is a sound team defender and can knock down shots at a consistent rate. He hit on 46% of his threes last season, including 52% from the corners, and that can be valuable spacing for the Suns starters. Or it could be Goodwin, the Swiss Army knife that the Suns acquired in their trade for Beal, a savvy defender and playmaker who can work well off of stars. This is mainly why the Suns are so intriguing. There's been so much change around Booker and Ayton that this roster looks unrecognizable compared to September of last year. How does this team come together? Well, that's going to be the main question. Phoenix is projected to win 51.5 games, the second best win total in the West behind the Denver Nuggets, and I think that's completely fair. The Nuggets and Suns are the 2 best teams in the West as of today, with Phoenix closing the gap this summer by adding tons of depth and another star in Beal. In the end, we know what the Suns are competing for: a championship. And if they have to take their bumps in the regular season in order to be better prepared for the postseason, then so be it. It's plausible. It'll take some time for this team to gel together with a new coach and tons of turnover on the roster. In fact, it's probably expected. But when the time comes, I expect the Suns to be a formidable opponent for the Nuggets and virtually any other team they'll have to face in the West, because they are that good. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. We genuinely appreciate all of the support. Have a good one.